This video is on solving multi-step equations. So we have 3 steps when we're solving multi-step equations. The first is to clean up on each side. So that may look different for where each problem, depending on what your problem looks like. So it could mean that you need to combine like terms on each side, like the left side separately and then the right side, or you may need to distribute and then combine like terms, but it will look different for each problem. Step 2 is to move all of the variables to one side and all of the constants to the other. So that is either by circle and jump or adding or subtracting, whichever you need to move. And 3 is solve for the variable. So in the first example, we have 4n minus 2n equals 4. And so on the left side, the way that we would clean up is we would say, well, we have a 4n and we have a negative 2n. And so those would be like terms. So when I combine together 4n and negative 2n, I get 2n. So now I have 2n equals 4. Now if I look back at my second step, it was to move all of the variables to one side and to get all the other constants to the other. And so when I look at this, I see that my variables are on one side and my constants are on the other. So now I can just go ahead and go with step 3, which is to solve. So this time we're solving for n, which means we need to get rid of 2 times n. So to get rid of 2 times, we would divide. So we divide both sides by 2, cancel out the 2's, n equals 2. I can always check my answer by taking my n equals 2 and plugging it back into my original equation. So it would look like 4 times 2 minus 2 times 2 equals 4. 4 times 2, of course, is 8, and 2 times 2 is 4, so 8 minus 4 does give us 4, which means that we got the correct answer. For the next example, we've got negative 3 times 4r minus 8 equals negative 36. So to clean this one up, I want to try to get rid of the parentheses. So I'm going to distribute this negative 3 times 4r and negative 3 times negative 8. So negative 3 times 4r gives me negative 12r, and negative 3 times negative 8 gives me positive 24. And that's all still equal to negative 36. My second step is to get all my constants to one side and all my variables to the other. So I'm going to take this positive 24 and I'm going to either circle and jump it to the other side or subtract it from both sides, but either way I should get the same thing. So when I do that, the 24's cancel, and on the left side I have negative 12r, and on the right side I would have negative 60. So then I would divide by negative 12, because remember my third step is to solve for my variable. When I do that, my negative 12's will cancel, and I'll get r equals 5. My next example is 6 times 6b plus 6 minus 5 equals 1 plus 6b. So on this one, I've got a little bit more that I need to clean up. So I'm going to start with the left side, and I'm going to distribute out so that I can get rid of my parentheses. So I'm going to do 6 times 6b, which makes 36b. And then I do 6 times 6, which gives me 36. I still have the minus 5. And it's still equal to 1 plus 6b. So I'm still not done with the cleanup step because I can see that on the left side I still have 2 like terms. I can combine together the positive 36 and the negative 5. And whenever I do that, I would have 36b plus 31 equals 1 plus 6b. So now in the second step, I want to try to get all of my variables to one side and all my constants to the other. So I'm going to start by subtracting 31 or circling jumping 31 to the other side. So when I do that, that cancels. I get 36v equals the 1 minus 31 would give me negative 30 plus 6v, because I can see that the 1 and the negative 31 are like terms, so when I put them together I would have negative 30. I'm still not done trying to get all my variables to one side and all my constants to the other, because I need to move this 6v. So I'm going to subtract 6v from the other side and move it. I could also circle 6v and jump it to the other side, and it would change the sign of a positive to a negative. This will cancel. On the left side, I would see that negative 6v and 36v are like terms. So I would say 36v minus 6v gives me 30v. And on the right side, I would have negative 30. My third step is to try to get v to be by itself. So I would divide both sides by 30. And whenever I do that, the 30's cancel. V equals negative 1. My next example is 10p plus 9 minus 11 minus p equals negative 2 times 2p plus 4 minus 3 times 2p minus 2. So I have a lot to clean up on this problem. So in my first step, I'm going to start by combining together my like terms on each side. So I'm going to say 10p and negative p are like terms, and then 9 and negative 11. So on the left side, when I put together 10p and negative p, that gives me 9p, and 9 minus 11 would give me negative 2. So I'm going to write everything down just like it says up top. And I've cleaned up my left side, but not my right side. So now to clean up my right side, I'm going to distribute out the negative 2 to the first set of parentheses, and then the negative 3 to the second set of parentheses. So I'll keep the left side because I didn't do anything with that yet on this step. And then I'm going to say negative 2 times 2p gives me negative 4p. Negative 2 times 4 gives me negative 8. Negative 3 times 2p gives me negative 6p. And negative 3 times negative 2 gives me positive 6. On the right side, I can combine my negative 4p and my negative 6p, and also my negative 8 and my positive 6. My left side stays. My right side would turn into negative 10p minus 2. That was all of step 1. So for step 2, I want to try to get all of my variables to one side and all of my constants to the other. So I'm going to start by moving this negative 2. So I can either add 2 to both sides, or I can circle the negative 2 and jump it. My 2's will cancel, and I'll get 9p equals negative 10p. The negative 2 and the positive 2 are like terms. So when I combine them together, they would give me 0. Now I'm going to get my negative 10p to move to the left side so that it can be with the 9p. So I'm going to add 10p, or you can circle and jump the 10p. Whenever you do that, that moves from here. That leaves 0 on the right side, and on the left side, 19p. To get the p by itself, I would divide both sides by 19. When I do that, the 19's cancel, and I get p equals 0 over 19. But anytime I have 0 on the top of a fraction, it's always going to be 0. So my answer is 0. On the last one, negative 12 times x minus 12 equals negative 9 times 1 plus 7x. So to clean up, I'm going to start with the left side and distribute the negative 12 to everything inside. So negative 12 times x is negative 12x. Negative 12 times negative 12 is positive 144. On the right side, I would distribute the negative 9 to everything inside. So negative 9 times 1 is negative 9, and negative 9 times 7x is negative 63x. Now I want to get all of my constants to one side and all of my variables to the other. So I'm going to start by moving this negative 63. So I can add 63x, or I can circle and jump 63x. Either way, it will give me the same thing. So this cancels. If I go over here, I can see that negative 12x and 63x are like terms. Because they're different signs, I'm really going to be subtracting. So I would say 63 minus 2 is 1, and 6 minus 1 is 5. Keep the x and take the sign of the bigger number. So 63 is the bigger number. It was positive, so my answer will be positive. I still have the plus 44. And then on the right side, negative 9. Then I'm going to subtract negative 44 from both sides, or negative 144 from both sides. Or I could circle the 144 and jump it to the other side. Those cancel. I get 51x equals. Because these are the same sign, I'm going to add them. So 144 plus 9 would give me negative 153. I know it's going to be negative because both of these were negative. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 51. Then I would need to see how many times will 51 go into 153. I can guess that 51 is going to go into 153 probably 3 times. And the reason I can guess that is because I know that 50 would go into 150 3 times. So then we would say 3 times 1 is 3, and 3 times 5 is 15. And that gives us 3. So because I had a negative divided by a positive, my answer is going to be negative 3.